Nvidia told me that I couldn't game on this graphics card. So in today's video, we're gonna game on this graphics card. Alright, so this is a Quadro RTX 4000, and as I just stated, it is not for gaming. This is a professional workstation graphics card from Nvidia. Now, as you may know, I am a professional. Now, saying F you Nvidia by gaming on one of their professional graphics cards is not the only reason I purchased this GPU. This card actually has some very special features that no other graphics card has ever been released to my knowledge has. So enough talk, let's open this thing up and see what the hell it is I'm actually talking about. One thing Nvidia does right, and I do mean the one thing, is they do have these very nice boxes. So pulling this out and opening it up, you might be able to see one very unique feature of this graphics card. So let's get this thing unwrapped so you can see it better. How do I open this? Woo-wee! That is nice. Wow. It is a single slot card, meaning that it only takes up one expansion slot in your system. And for the system I'm using it in, which will be my streaming PC, this card is absolutely paramount because I need a single slot card because I install my expansion cards slot to slot with each other to maximize the effective space of my system. Now, you may believe looking at it and seeing that it is a single slot graphics card, it probably doesn't have the best GPU under the shroud. But actually, the GPU on this graphics card has the same specs as the RTX 2070. Yes, this single slot, tiny little monster with a single 8-pin at the back is an RTX 2070, all the way down to its 8 GB of GDDR6. But single slot and powerful are, quite frankly, not the main reasons I bought this card. I have a single slot GTX 1070. It's called the 1070 Katana. You've seen it before on my channel if you've been around. The main reason I bought this specific card instead of any other graphics card that's a single slot is because of this graphics card has a USB-C, which means I can do some pretty amazing stuff with it, including connecting a USB-C monitor, such as this one from Asus. This is the something ZenBook yada yada. It's a touchscreen USB-C monitor, and it has a USB-C and a micro HDMI input. The micro HDMI is broken already because everything with micro HDMI will break instantly because it is a terrible connector to use, but it also can take a USB-C input, and it's a touchscreen, and it can be powered solely from that USB-C. So this monitor, powered by this graphics card, can make an amazing portable and compact streaming setup where this is basically everything I need, including keyboard and mouse because it's a touchscreen and a 1920 by 1080 display. So one thing to note is the reason I had to buy this card, and again, not any other card, is because USB-C on a graphics card is extremely rare. There is no single slot graphics card that exists besides this one with a USB-C output. So you can see that my options were extremely limited, but it doesn't mean that I'm not extremely excited to game on this graphics card. And yes, I'm gonna game on this graphics card as I stated before because, well, Nvidia doesn't want me to, so that means I'm gonna do it. And if they've got a problem with it, well, haha, poo-poo, get wrecked, cope and seethe, cry. So I guess all that's left to do is build a quick test bench and see how this thing performs in some games and see if it actually works with my monitor or if I have to return it. So we're gonna put this to the side, and you can see we've actually got some RAM and an SSD. Oh, I've got some RAM and an SSD. Oh shit. I've got some RAM and an SSD here that I'm just gonna put to the side for now. Conveniently, I've actually got a professional workstation test bench right here. It might be broken now. Quick rundown of the specs. This is a Xeon Gold 6138 20-core CPU on an ASRock Rack EPC621D8A motherboard featuring 6-channel DDR4 and just a whole list of other features that you can find in any of my other videos on LGA3647, which is the socket used in this build. This PC is, wow, actually I'm making a PC that's not meant for gaming at all. This is the biggest waste of money for a gaming PC ever. To buy a 20-core Xeon Gold and a Quadro RTX is just, I love it. So that's gonna be the platform for today's build, just because it's what I've got here. What the fuck are these people doing? Like, they're buying crack. And they're like, yep, you're correct. All right, I actually need to move this out of the way because, surprisingly, that epic motherboard that was like $1,000 is not the star of the show. It's actually our power supply. Oh, it's so heavy. This is the Silverstone ST1500, a 1500 watt, 80 plus silver PSU released in 2009. Although they were manufacturing it up until like a year ago, so it's like, you know. So clearly they did something right the first time that they've kept selling it up until this date. Thank you, Silverstone, for sending this over. This thing's freaking awesome. And yes, I'm going to use it to test today's system because it's massive. I made a video on it. Check that out. Yes, I know. Hold your applause. I know this is the best thing you've ever seen in your life. It's massive. So this will be our test bench power supply today. And it is fully modular, although there's a ton of, call me the IT Punisher. Your safe word must contain one capital letter and be 8 digits long. Alright, so we've got the 3 cables that we'll need for this system. Oh, I almost forgot RAM. So as we have a professional system, we definitely want some professional RAM. So I've got 6 sticks of quirky bedazzled party RAM. This is amazing, and I don't think ASRock would be very happy with what I'm doing with their professional products, but I don't care. Then we can go ahead and get our Quadro RTX 4000 installed. One last thing to note is that it does have the 8-pin in the back of the card because professional cards do that for, I don't know, server use or whatever, so we're going to put that actually. Alright, the final thing to do is just plug in this freaking thick power cord into our 1500 watt power supply. I mean, man, this thing is massive. And just, oh man, that is lovely. I don't know if you can see this over the massive cable mess here, but man, this is a lovely looking system if you ask me. So let's just quickly plug in our USB-C monitor and see if we're getting a display out. So because of the USB-C output on our graphics card, this is the only display cable we're going to need. A single USB-C, which is great and is, again, the reason I got this card. So we just plug it into our... So we're just going to plug in one end to our portable monitor. Again, it is a touchscreen portable monitor. And then the other end can just go right into our graphics card, our Quadro RTX 4000. So if we turn on the monitor, we should have power, touch, and video. And just like that, that's exactly what we have. Yep, super easy. And of course, the monitor asks if we want to charge from the PC because it does have a built-in battery. So it's a super portable monitor, but it should take all of its power and be at 100% charge consistently from just having our USB-C plugged in. So now all that's left to do is to just game on this graphics card. Even though Nvidia tries to lock down Quadro drivers, I don't care. So we're going to play some games on this professional graphics card. Starting with the tried and true Rainbow Six Siege. And on maximum possible settings, everything completely maxed out at 1080p, we're only getting about 70 FPS, which is mostly because I maxed out TAA to 4x, which in this game absolutely tanks FPS. But still a decent showing from this graphics card. Now, if we turn our settings down literally one notch, and by one notch I mean we just turn TAA down to normal TAA and not TAA 4x, which I believe is just 4x the resolution scale, all of a sudden we're getting above 200 FPS consistently. Now, this definitely isn't a gaming CPU by any means, the Xeon Gold 6138, but it definitely holds its own enough for our graphics card to stretch its legs. And this thing performs very well and very similarly to an RTX 2070. Although, realistically speaking, with its clock speed and power limits, it'll be more like a 2060 Super with 8 gigs RAM, but it is definitely pretty great. So, Rainbow Six Siege runs very well. Now moving on to something a little more graphically intensive, we've got Power Washing Simulator. At maximum settings, 1080p, everything maxed out, including MSAA, this game runs very smoothly, and we are easily able to clean this firehouse very effectively using our upgraded Power Washer. This game is probably one of the greatest games released in this generation, so it's definitely very amazing to see that this graphics card is not too underpowered to play it. So in my books, if you can run Power Wash Simulator, it's definitely a great graphics card. Now moving on to something a little bit easier to run, we've got Red Dead Redemption 2. 1080p, exactly middled down the line settings. We're just running at the medium preset, whatever it is. I don't really get how the settings in this game work, but the game runs very well at over 60 FPS. The gameplay is very smooth and it looks pretty great. So for a single slot graphics card to run Red Dead like this is pretty impressive. We're able to go around doing all the things you do in Red Dead, which is lose your guns to your horse and die a lot and apparently get fat from eating too much food. I don't like this game, but I was actually able to have some fun running around and shooting people in the face, which is genuinely very fun for me. And I definitely was able to do a lot of that using this graphics card without it getting too loud or even too hot. And finally, I just wanted to do one last game since GTA didn't feel like downloading, so we're going to run Battlefront 2. And at, again, maximum possible settings, our FPS is surprisingly low at around 30 to 40. This game is a lot at max settings with reflections off the armor and everything, and I don't even know if it has RTX, but it might, but yeah, no, it's a bit too much. Lowering those settings just a little bit from ultra to high yields way better performance. At way above 60 FPS, the game is more than playable, and it looks great too. I just like Battlefront 2, I like Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and all that stuff, so I like Star Wars and the Clone Wars, so if I ever need a backup gaming PC, it's good to know that the graphics card in my streaming PC is more than enough to handle most modern games. Even though it's a single slot card, it performs great, and having this touchscreen monitor from just this simple pink USB-C is absolutely amazing, and I am more than happy with it. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.